Maybe they did affect socially things that we think about, things that we are more aware of. When we were young, did you guys know that there were black soldiers that fought for the Union during the Civil War? Maybe they didn't have much of a choice. Maybe there weren't that many jobs available at the time after you become a freed slave in a society that does not welcome you, in a society that does not have room for you. You go, well, maybe I will be working for the Civil War on the Union side to fight the South because the pay is pretty decent and there is no role for me in society other than a human soldier. Because that was post Civil War. That was during the Civil War, post emancipation. But I got to tell you guys, 7 years ago I started this show, and I always wanted to implement the idea, or at least put into practice, or at least demonstrate an example of thoughtfulness. Hopefully we can think about, hey guys, what's up everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to see familiar faces every day here on Aristotle Full Throttle. If you're wondering what I'm writing down, it's really important information. So you guys can see that. Just so you can see what I'm writing during the show, because I have so many notes that I got to take while I'm writing. And here's what they look like. I got to say, I was watching... When I was a kid and I saw that movie Glory, it changed my life. I'm talking about the movie Glory with Denzel Washington's, and it's got also Morgan Freeman's in it. All of them are in there. It is a classic movie. It is a fantastic movie. Hey Kelsey, hey 13, hey Will. It's going to be a fun day today, because what we're going to do today is connect about things we like, about things that changed our lives, about movies that had an impact on us, movies that changed our thought process, maybe made us think a little bit deeper about certain things, maybe made us consider each other as people. I feel like every 10 years or so there's a movie that comes out and then people are like, oh yeah, the blacks, they're not so bad. Or like every 10 years they're like, oh yeah, the Jews had it bad during the Holocaust, didn't they? There's movies that draw attention to the fact that there are groups of people who have been thoroughly oppressed throughout history. And, maybe this is the moment. What's up, Lee? What's up, Escardondito? We're talking about movies that mattered today, movies that made a difference in your life. What's a movie that made you more aware of stuff that's going on in society that you maybe had no idea about because it like informed you and let you know what was going on? There's garbage trucks outside because I live in a city. This is an urban area. I'll remind you guys, actually I did go to the protest yesterday. How are you? Good to see you, Lee. Lee's a good guy. Lee's a good guy. Everybody, say hi to Lee. Warm, loving, caring, funny guy, and he's a solid dude, so you guys should all say hi to him and give him a shout out. But I did go to the protest yesterday because they're right down the street from me, and I went to Hollywood and Vine, and I was walking down the street, feeling the energy, feeling alive, feeling like this maybe is a moment. Maybe is a moment that we'll all consider. There was cars honking their horns. We was walking down the street. We were chanting and stuff. I was mostly just there in solidarity. I wasn't doing many of the theatrics or anything, but I walked with everybody for a while, for about 45 minutes. And, because then the curfew comes rolling around and then all the businesses are boarded up. You can't get a sparkling water after 6 p.m. here. It's crazy. That's because LA, LA is LA's a hotspot. There's a history here, guys. You know what a movie that I remember that changed my life, that raised my awareness? Boys in the Hood. You guys remember that movie? What a movie that is, guys. Classic. I'm going to get choked up just thinking about Ricky right now. Okay? You know what I'm talking about. I'm going to pour one out right now because for my homies in the hood. Either they don't know, they don't show, or they don't care about what's going on in the hood. It's never been stated more clearly than by Ice Cube 30 years ago, guys. It's never been stated more clearly by Ice Cube when he said F the police. To be frank, I do believe he is a poet from Compton. A wise man from Compton once said, F the police. But, you know, I don't say that to all the police, obviously. I don't say, like, listen, we know that the police is a hard job. We know that. It's the structural system that protects bad apples in that system, that protects them, that we don't like. That's what we want to see get better. That's what everybody wants to see get better, because none of us can tolerate or stomach what we saw last week. And it's not how we do things. But Boys in the Hood was a really great movie. John Singleton directed that movie. That was before John Singleton directed Remember the Time by Michael Jackson. Do you remember that time? Do you remember? On the phone till dawn, till 3. What about us? Remember that? That was a funny video. You guys remember the Remember the Time video with Magic Johnson, Irvin Magic Johnson, and Iman, and then like Michael Jackson shows up, and Eddie Murphy is in there. Eddie Murphy plays the king, the pharaoh, and Michael Jackson comes in there and somehow seduces Iman as Michael Jackson, who's like, we all know about Michael Jackson after the fact. Remember the Titans? Oh, that's a good one too. Remember the Titans. There are so many great movies that are impactful. But Remember the Time, that video is so funny. I remember they were like pharaohs, and Michael Jackson shows up, and he seduces Iman away from Eddie Murphy, and it's the most asexual, like the zero passionate kiss that they share on the screen. It is an awkward moment. It is literally like, it's like watching I don't know, it's like Iman kissing Michael Jackson is like watching Iman kissing Michael Jackson, but it's also like watching Iman kissing a plunger or something that's just completely not oh, the original Hairspray. Yes, you got me on that. Hey, what's up, WO? Kayleen, I'll get it right one day. Kayleen says the original Hairspray. John Waters, man. John Waters brought attention to people who are all different parts of the rainbow. He is unabashedly himself, and we love him for it, and that's why we love his movies. His movies are very representative of a marginalized group, the LGBT community, and all sorts of kinds of people who have different ways of expressing themselves and different ways of identifying. And he has brought them out. He has brought that to the surface and said, look, these people exist. We should acknowledge them. And I think that's all that Black Lives Matter means too. This whole movement, it really is that. It's just, people say, all lives matter. Yes, that's right. But you know what else? Black Lives Matter. So when you catch yourself saying all lives matter, check yourself for a second and realize that maybe that you're not getting the point. That's the point. The point is, particularly in this society, in America, Black lives have not mattered as much. And that is quantitative. You can actually tally up all of the Black lives versus all of the other non-Black lives, or versus minorities versus, and you could just like count up the numbers and say, oh, this group is treated less fairly than this group, or this group is treated favorably over this group. And it's just a thing. It's just a fact. You can actually measure that with numbers and charts and graphs and pie charts and all that stuff. Remember pie charts? They always reminded me of pizza. I like pizza. I'm from New York. I love pizza, so I'll tell you that. Listen, Will says, the shopping scene in The Color Purple where Oprah gets pistol whipped wrongly. Oh my God, that was so powerful. Did a number on me as a kid. Yes, the whole movie is traumatic and powerful. Oh, good golly, that movie is good. It's a great movie, and thank you to Steven Spielberg for being a massive Hollywood player and deciding that he was going to direct a movie with an all-black cast, which was like, Steven Spielberg, what are you doing? He's like, look, I'm Jewish. I have a history in my family of people being oppressed. I would like to bring to light in a mainstream way, in my way, since I am the king of Hollywood, a way I would like to bring to light, because no one else will. And I'm Steven Spielberg, and you're going to give me the money to make this movie, and I'm going to go ahead and make it. And, that was good. Thank you, Steven Spielberg, for actually revealing amazingly people to the mainstream as incredible actors that we weren't maybe paying attention to as much as we should have, like Whoopi Goldberg. And obviously Danny Glover is in that movie. And Oprah Winfrey is a good actor, it turns out. Out of all of the people that host daytime TV talk shows in their life, she's the best actor out of all of them, besides Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg's got the Oscar to prove it, I'll tell you that much. Michael was like, gross. Yeah, Michael Gross from Family. Yeah. That was the best. Amen. Cheers. Ever seen the movie called Capernaum? I haven't seen that movie. I would like to. I'm going to write all these movies down on I'm going to open up a notepad, ladies and gentlemen. This is how I do things. This is high tech. In the future of 2001, we will get a thing called Notepad, and I will write these movies down, because it's important that we do see through the lens of other people. Capernaum. I don't know how to say that. Clockers did a number. I feel you on that. You got so many different types of movies out there that are really impactful. And I think that's the beauty of a movie, of the movie medium. It's just like, hey, Ismail, you can actually impact people and influence their perceptions. Not in a bad way. You can do it in a bad way, though. You can. That's called propaganda. We see a lot of that every day. I'll tell you what, I was in that march yesterday, and I marched all the way up and down, or just up Sunset Boulevard, and it was peaceful. It was incredibly peaceful. Not a thing was scratched. People shouted and voiced their complaints and their concerns and their grievances, and they aired them freely, and people were joining in solidarity by honking their horns, and there was not really any cops to be seen. It was just a very cheery, peaceful, powerful time walking yesterday. And you know what? That's why you didn't see it on the news. Because what you see on the news every night is the things that are broken and smoking and burning, and it's not necessarily what's happening. There's actually people talking. John Boyega was out there today in London, guys. I don't know if you saw the clip of that, but John Boyega was given his best Pacific Rim 2 speech right there as the son of Idris Elba. I say Idris Elba. John Boyega, as we all know, the son of Idris Elba, he was out there chanting and leading I was like, that guy is good at speech acting, or whatever he was doing. I mean, I feel like he was really feeling it. John Boyega is a beast. He's on top of his game. This dude is going to be. I think the best thing that Star Wars did was show us who John Boyega is. These last 3 Star Wars. Also, Adam Driver carried those damn movies on his back. But John Boyega was a revelation. Daisy Ridley as well. But we all knew Oscar Isaac was great, so he can go suck an egg. Ow. I'm just kidding. Oscar Isaac is a friggin', he's phenomenal. They're all great. They've got charisma out the ears, and that's what you need when you want to be inspirational. Ava DuVernay is 13 when they see us. Recent movie, Blind Spotting. What was the one? The Blind? What was the one that got criticism, but it also won? It won Sandra Bullock an Oscar, The Blind Side. That was interesting. You know, there's an interesting saying. I'll go back to Steven Spielberg for a second about Color Purple. You know, he's got a mixed family because he believes in the whole concept of, if you want to understand different peoples and different cultures, if you want to understand them, adopt people of different ethnicities or of origin, because then you'll realize we're all the same. Then you'll realize there's no like it's just cultural, it's just tribal. He's got kids of all different well, I mean, I don't have to like that doesn't make him someone better than anyone else, but it just shows that he wants to understand the world. He's not necessarily, I don't know, like I have mixed feelings about how people perceived Madonna adopting an African kid, and you're like, well, one hand, people are like, well, the black kid should be with the black family, and I'm like, well, all kids should be with some family, first of all. And Madonna, it's not bad landing in Madonna's, being Madonna's kid. So, oops, I ended up being Madonna's kid. But you can't pick your parents. But you could pick your nose. What's up, Night Jaguar? Ooh, Jaguar. Colors, I'm a nightmare walking psychopath taking King of Jungle. I don't know the lyrics to that one, but I will put that to a tune right now. I will get a guitar out and start shredding and say, I am the nightmare walking psychopath talking King of the Jungle. Sounds like Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden. There are movies that impact you. There are movies that make us go, oh, well, that ain't right. Well, that something ought to be done about that. And there's a thing in Hollywood, guys, and we have to pay attention to this. And it's called the magical black person or the magical black man. And it's a thing that they do, and they still kind of do it. And there's the white savior trope and the magical black man trope, like the Legend of Bagger Vance. Bagger Vance is the sequel. It's got his inverse cousin. It's one stars Keith David, the other stars David Keith. But I'm telling you, the Legend of Bagger Vance or stuff like that, where it's, and even kind of in a little bit in $1 Million Baby, you've got Morgan Freeman. I don't know. I liked $1 Million Baby a lot, where Morgan Freeman puts on the one boxing glove and beats up that young guy. It was pretty cool. But the magical black person myth is that there's like some guy who's all-knowing and wise, and it's always the guy you would least expect because they're black. And they're the one with all the knowledge. And it's like, why can we just, like, is there a way to just maybe not do that anymore? Maybe we just have character, like, why is it that we play into the idea that because they're black, we're not going to expect them to be all knowing or all wise, and like everybody's gonna like just kind of marginalize that person, and then that person later on in the movie's like, I've got the answer to everything because I've been watching the whole time. Blink, and then like a magical ding happens. The Green Mile is a magical black man movie for sure. And like the white saviors trying to save him, and it's a good movie though. I like that movie, but I mean, it's kind of a reflection of the time in a lot of ways too. Like the fact that it's like the South, and it's, I don't know, 50s or 60s or whenever it takes place. And you got another movie like, what are the movies? To Kill a Mockingbird. That's actually pretty good. That actually brought some awareness to the public. It was like, wow, how is she writing about stories like this and characters like that? Hey, Tatiana, hello. We're kind of mixing it up today. I went to the march yesterday. I was in the protests. I was in the peaceful protesting. I was just experiencing what it's like to be a part of to see what because I support this movement. I've supported it since birth. I've supported this movement since before it was a movement. I was doing Black Lives Matter before there was Black Lives Matter. I've done mattered. And I like to, it's heartening to see people actually supporting their fellow Americans. However, I'm a little cynical, guys. I'm cynical about this because I say, how many teeth? I say this: it takes a pandemic, the worst economy, the worst leadership, and all of this to go down, and no school shootings for people to go. Looks like I got enough time for Black Lives Matter now. Looks like I'll get out there because what else am I doing? Might as well try to end racism now. Good thing and a bad thing. They can both exist at the same time. I get a little cynical about it because I'm just like, hey, where were you guys when there wasn't like the perfect opportunity to protest, march in the streets? Kind of not the perfect opportunity. Since there's a pandemic, guys, watch out for a spike. 2 weeks from now, watch out. And a lot of times these numbers are being messed with. The numbers of COVID cases are being messed with because now not everybody's getting tested. They're just going in the hospital and they're being treated as if they have COVID. And a lot of people are still dying of pneumonia or of pneumonia consistent with COVID, which is not officially a COVID case. So you can't tally that one. Yeah. I gotta say. But there are some people in this world that will constantly help improve perceptions of groups of people that you gotta realize we're all pretty much the same. We're all the same, partner. We all want the same thing. Everybody on Earth just wants to live in peace and a pursuit of happiness. Maybe some slices of pizza that aren't crappy. I mean, we've got everything except for pizza in LA. I'll tell you that much. We got good people here. LA is an interesting spot. Obviously, there's a deep-rooted pain in LA because there's a riot every 30 years here, like a race-driven riot. I mean, there was the 60s, and then there was the 90s, and then there's now, which it's not rioting, guys. We're not rioting yet. There are looters, there are problems, there are people in the streets doing things. However, it's getting sensationalized. I watched thousands of people march completely peacefully yesterday. I videoed it. I will put it up on social media today. Yesterday was a blackout, but today I will post some of the stuff that I saw yesterday. And guess what? Totally peaceful and totally supported because we do appreciate all Americans. We know that. But what we have to know is that Black Lives Matter. We all have to know that. Everyone has to know that because there's just a built-in, baked-in part of the system where we just kind of sweep things under the carpet. I hope this doesn't get swept under the carpet again for another 20 years, 5 years, until there's like another Eric Gardner or somebody, until there's another George Floyd. Why does it take a George Floyd? Why does it have to go that far for people to be believed? To people to go, hey, I don't feel comfortable when the cops are called. I don't feel comfortable getting at... I'm going to share a couple things. I know I'm going on these tangents right now, but it's hard not to talk about these things. These things are happening all around us every day, currently, right now, as we speak, in this moment. And I think it's important to address it. It's a good thing to share. I want to know how you guys are feeling about it. I want to know what you guys are thinking about it. And we can discuss this because that's what this is about. It's about a discussion. It's not about destruction. It's not about war. It's not about fighting. It's about let's hear each other and understand what each other is thinking and feeling because empathy and critical thinking, I will say that over and over again. Those are the things we need most in society. But, yeah, lost my train of thought. But the point is, this is what I was going to say. I've had a few experiences in my life. Several experiences. Whenever I get pulled over. And it's funny to me because sometimes I will be with a friend of mine and I'll recall 3 cases. One case, I got pulled over 3 times in one day because I had long braids. I had long dreadlocks, sort of looking things, but they were braids. I braided them. I went through the trouble of braiding my hair, and it was long. And within 24 hours, I was pulled over 3 times. in a majority, obviously non-black, non-brown areas, which was hilarious. I was 18 or 19, and I got 2 tickets out of the 3. The one time they were just looking for people, I guess, and you fit a description. That the thing with people who are brown in America is that you're just a monolith. You fit a description. Public safety alert. 9 p.m. curfew tonight, guys. Just sorry, guys. My feed might have froze on Instagram because I got my public safety alert. There's a 9 p.m. curfew here, which is nice. It's nice. You can get a seltzer after 6 tonight, maybe till 9. That time when I was 19 and I got pulled over 3 times in 24 hours because I had long braids down to my damn shoulders, I thought that was a little suspect. I thought it was weird. But another time I was in my band. A lot of times I got a lot of interesting stories from the road being in a band, rock and roll band. My drummer happens to be Jewish, singer happens to be white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, as they call it. And there was a time we would get pulled over in the van every now and then, because that's what you do when you're in a rock band. You get pulled over by the cops. And I just remember there was this one time I was driving and we got pulled over, and my drummer, I'm not going to call him out. I mean, he'll laugh at this probably today because we talk about this kind of stuff to this day. He just got out of the car. So now you got to understand my mindset. We're pulled over by the police. We've got a van and a trailer. And he was like, oh, let me just get out of the car for a second and like shake. He like opened his door. Now, if you are a black or brown person right now, you're probably losing your mind. You're pulled over by the cops, and your passenger just gets out, starts checking his jacket, gets out of the car, is walking around the car while the cops are parked behind you with their lights on. Now, to me, that sends a surge of adrenaline through me. To my drummer, he didn't think twice about it. That's telling. I think that says a lot. I think that, I don't know, I've never shared that story with anybody other than my drummer, and we laugh about it. But he was like, oh, yeah, I guess I didn't even think about that. And then there was another time when I was with a drummer that from another band. It's a drummer problem, I think mainly. I think we should address the drummer issue in society and why these drummers just get out the car when you get pulled over. What is wrong with you drummers? Is it your short attention span? Is it your high levels of energy? Is it your ability to command an audience with your driving sound? Maybe. But there was another time just here in LA I got pulled over. Cops in LA are generally nice. I'm going to say it's been 30 years since the Rodney King situation where the guys were clearly not nice. The cops were horrible and should have gone to prison for a long, long time after that. But they didn't. So, it still hurts. But the interesting thing is the cops I've encountered here, I think maybe because they're generally on higher alert for the last 30 years of just being like, well, you know, it's LA and we need to be better. And LA does work on being better. We do. That's the thing I'm proud about this state. I feel like I finally become an Angelino this last year. I've been here about 8.5 years. And this last year, I'm like, you know what? I feel like this is home. I feel like people here are generally good and want to do good. It's a good thing. But I got pulled over right quick. It with another drummer from another band that I was in. He's passenger. He happens not to be a person of color. So when I got pulled over, I pulled the keys out of the ignition, threw them on the dashboard, put my hands at 10 and 2, and then rolled the window down this much to talk to the police officer. And then after, the cop was just like, oh, I just noticed you didn't turn your lights on when you pulled away, and then you turned your lights on. I just wanted to check to see if everything's okay. And I was like, everything's fine. He's like, okay, great. Have a good night. Totally fine. Pull over. But my passenger was like, oh, wow. I never even thought of doing, but that's smart. Yeah, like I guess maybe I've never thought of taking the keys out and throwing them on the dashboard so that they can be seen and putting my hands in a visible area when you get pulled over by the cops. I've never had to think about that. So this is something that you have to think about and consider when you see over and over again, people on the news who are getting attacked and killed who are unarmed. Philando Castile mentioned he had a weapon to the police officer as a courtesy. He said, just so you know, officer, I have a license to carry and I have one with me, and I just want you to know that because that's part of the duty that you should mention and show and display that you are carrying a weapon. And he was murdered instantaneously because of that. Hey guys, we get serious this week. It's a high emotional time right now. Lee says, because people have not been on the other end of the abuse. I've been beat up by cops 6 times. I wanted to be the police officer all the way to the age of 17, and to the Torrance officer punched me in the face, and Boots stopped me in the chest a couple of times. Yeah, you don't want to deal with that. That's horrible, Lee, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. But that's horrible. No one should ever have to go through that. Ewa, hello, Ewa. Put my keys up on the dashboard, lock my thumbs in the steering wheel. See, that's the smart way to go. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah. Yeah, that is a horrible. Lee, I'm sorry. I was just catching up on talking with Lee here, and he's saying how, if you guys are on the Instagram chat, you're reading what Lee's saying. Just hearing about how that man, Philando Castile, was gunned down by the police officer with his baby and his baby mama in the car, I believe. And that was just a horrible. And she was videoing it. She said, hey, you better not have just killed my husband. So we have to do better. Here's how we do better. Okay? We listen. We talk. We share our experiences because maybe someone else hasn't had that experience. So we share it. We tell everybody. We let them know that this really happened and this is real. Some people want to think it's not real. Some people want to think, oh, we beat that, right? In the 60s when they integrated the schools? No. We made a good step forward. We made it possible so that the idea of equality could exist. But does it exist? You can't just erase people and their opinions and their minds and their habits and their preconceived notions of each other. So we need to educate each other on that, and we need to tell each other what our experience is. If there's no way to know what someone else is experiencing, how the heck are they going to know how bad it is? It's pretty bad. And that's why I love movies like this is a show about movies, guys. I do love the movie Boys in the Hood. It's one of the best movies ever made. It is so powerful. And watch that movie, and you could see like a little bit of just how frustrating it can be to be black in America, how frustrating it can be to try to have a dream. Did you ever have a dream? To have a dream and just be shot and killed and have that all taken away from you. Have the guy, you know, it's just powerful. It's a powerful movie. It's so sad it makes you throw up. Yeah, man. Yeah, Ali, we're all crying right now. We're all sad. We're all crying together, and it's a good time too. It's all good. It's a good time to just let our feelings out and just be like, this is something to grieve over. We need to grieve the loss of George Floyd. We need to take this energy and this resolve to all the way to wherever it needs to go, all the way to the top. We need to employ certain... I think the answer is vote. Vote as much as possible. Get people in there. Run. If you are of a marginalized group, or at least if you are a representative of the area you come from, then run for local office because you are a representative of that area. And if everyone can do that, we can... yeah, John Singleton died, didn't he? Yeah. That's right. He had that... he went into that coma, or he had that aneurysm. That's sad. But he made some great movies while he was around. Yeah, it's okay, man. It's okay, Lee. You're feeling the feelings because that's what we're doing right now. We're trying to figure out how do we deal with a situation like this. How do we deal with a situation where people are just being... there are people in society who are of a lesser class, and that is felt and that is known. And that is definitely felt in American society. I feel that. I have a lot of friends who are from overseas, from different countries, and they don't have the same necessarily history that the United States has. I have friends in countries that don't have a history of black slavery. So when I'm talking to them, their perceptions, there's not an unspoken understanding. They just literally don't understand. In America, you'll find this. There's a shorthand. We have shorthands in social situations that we don't say certain things. We don't mention certain things. We don't talk about certain things when we're in groups with different types of people. And what I mean by that is to say that there is a unspoken racism. There's an unspoken prejudice. There's an unspoken, oh, well, we can't talk about XYZ because then that would maybe reflect on me and that would reflect on them. And I think there needs to be a genuine curiosity in one another that doesn't feel like it's something that seems racist or seems prejudiced. It should be a curiosity in one another, and maybe not just an assumption of one another. It's like, oh, okay, well, this person is South Asian, so I assume these things about that person. No, ask about those things. Be curious about those things. Learn about that individual and their personal experience. Don't make assumptions. Don't assume that you can't talk about it. In America, it's tough because we have so many different weird rules that are tenuous, social, unspoken rules that we don't want to mention certain things because it's touchy but right now is the time to talk about it. Right now is the time to talk about all of our feelings and what we're thinking and sharing our personal experiences. I don't know how to do that in America right now. So I'm trying. Yeah, Kamisi, how's he doing? I see him on Instagram all the time. Yeah, it's real rough right now. Everybody is high high alert. Yesterday when I was marching, walking along with the folks protesting, I was trying to keep my situational awareness up in case anything started to happen. But I tell you, there's all kinds of misrepresentation of what's going on in the streets, because it's a time where you look at the movement, and then there are these bad seeds, there's bad eggs that are breaking windows and looting. But they're going to do that anyway. But they're using the optics of the Black Lives Movement. They're using the opportunity to make people look bad because they know who's going to be blamed. Who's going to be blamed but the protesters. So it's the perfect opportunity if you're a sociopathic looter and you want to go steal stuff because you want to sell your drugs, you want to go rob CVS. You go, I'm a genius. Let me go to where there's a lot of people in the street, where there's a diversion, there's a distraction in the streets, and then let me smash some windows and get away with it because they'll be blamed. Easy peasy. It's interesting when protests go awry. Speaking of movies, remember Dog Day Afternoon? Remember Al Pacino, all he wanted to do was to rob a bank so that he could afford an operation, a sex confirmation surgery, a gender confirmation surgery for his lover. It's a freaking phenomenal movie. But he's in the streets chanting Attica, trying to incite. But his real motivation as a character is that he has a lover who needs gender confirmation surgery, and that's truly a movie that brings awareness to that in an interesting way. And it's kind of a brave role for Al Pacino and the guy who played Fredo, I forget his name, but it was a good role for them in lots of ways to raise this kind of awareness for people. I just watched Silence of the Lambs again last night because I love that movie. It's my favorite movie. I don't know why it's my favorite movie. I just think it's perfectly executed, so to speak. It's a perfectly made movie. It keeps moving. Everything is interesting. Everybody does a phenomenal job in that movie, except for maybe I don't know, Chris Isaac is in that movie. Remember that one? Not sure if Dog Day Afternoon is a true story. If anybody wants to look that up, Will. Maybe we could check that out. But I was watching Silence of the Lambs last night, and it was interesting because that's another movie that brings awareness to maybe transgender folks and the fact that the killer in the movie is not transgender. And that's the point that they're trying to make, that the point that the killer in that movie, Buffalo Bill, thinks he's transgender, but he's not. And that's part of his personality, which is just schizoid affective disorder or something high level psychotic. That guy is crazy. He is definitely crazy because he wants you to put the lotion on its skin or you're gonna get the hose again. He wants you to put the lotion in the effing basket. You don't know what pain is. Ted Levine, ladies and gentlemen, what a performance. Ted Levine as Buffalo Bill. Guys, how good was that? So good. The point I'm trying to make is the movie was directed by Jonathan Demme, who was a gay man. And also from Long Island, interestingly enough. That's my hometown, is Long Island. So he was a gay man, and he brought attention to certain issues like that. Philadelphia, guys. What movie before the movie Philadelphia? The follow-up movie that Jonathan Demme directed after Silence of the Lambs was Philadelphia, starring Tom Hanks. So Tom Hanks, Denzel Washington, and Jonathan Demme came together to make a movie to represent a marginalized group in society, and that is of gay human professionals who happened to succumb to a pandemic, another pandemic called AIDS, HIV. But the point was we weren't aware of this on a human level before we saw Philadelphia. We didn't identify with these people as our brothers, our sisters, our parents, our sons, our cousins. We didn't identify with them as Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks said, listen, guys, Denzel Washington did a great job in that movie because Denzel Washington has never done a bad job. The guy is a ringer. You bring that guy in if you want your movie to be excellent. And even if your movie sucks, Denzel Washington's the greatest thing about it. He came in and he played a really good part. He played that part of the skeptical, homophobic lawyer. He took on the client and realized his humanity by the end of the movie. He realized Tom Hanks' humanity. And Tom Hanks lost all that weight. Remember that? Got real skinny, then did Forrest Gump right after that with his skinny body. Because, you know, you got to plan your schedule. You got to schedule your movies. You got to schedule your diet with your movies. What's up? My sister's here. What's up, Veronica? Just talking about certain things like Dog Day Afternoon. Tatiana looked it up. Dog Day Afternoon was inspired by a true story. John Stanley was just I can't say that name. Was an American bank robber whose story inspired the 1975 film Dog Day Afternoon. And I was mentioning how Dog Day Afternoon brings to light certain issues, maybe in an outdated way, of gender reassignment surgery. Surprise, surprise, spoiler alert. That movie has, in fact, it's a great movie. It's a powerful movie. And this is stuff people didn't really want to talk about. And these movies helped people talk about these things socially. And Philadelphia is definitely one of those movies. Jonathan Demme was an excellent director, one of my favorites. He has died. Here's a fun fact about Jonathan Demme, which will shock you. Not shock you. I just find it sadly ironic. He directed several movies that were supposed to be Neil Young's last final concerts. He directed a few of them. And because Neil Young had cancer about 12 years ago or so. Neil Young's still with us. Jonathan Demme has since died. That is a sad irony. Jonathan Demme was directing Neil Young's final movies, final concert performance movies, and then Jonathan Demme dies. But Jonathan Demme is one of the best directors ever and helped bring attention to gender issues and sexuality issues, LGBT issues in his movies when people just would not even do it. Then that was so great because he won Best Picture for Silence of the Lambs, and he follows that up with a movie like Philadelphia and helps bring attention to people who are in a marginalized group. And that's what we're talking about today. Folks who are in marginalized groups who maybe are underrepresented in society, also in Hollywood. People, Lee's gonna get me started on Snakes on a Plane. That's one of my favorites. I saw that in the movie theater, and the whole movie theater chanted the best line in that movie because we knew it was coming. That line there, right there. This is a kind of a left turn, but Snakes on a Plane is a phenomenal movie, particularly because it was called like Flight Ocean something, Flight Pacifica 101. And then the working script for the movie Snakes on the Plane was called Snakes on a Plane, and they sent it to Samuel L. Jackson. He didn't even read it. He just read the title, and he said, I will do this movie if you still call it Snakes on a Plane. Do not change the title. I will star in your movie, but it needs to be called Snakes on a Plane. So he did. They did. And he said, I am sick and tired of these Monday to Friday snakes. Well, I'm going to say the TV edited version because when that line is edited for television, there's an ADR. And the ADR, the alternate dialogue or the additional dialogue recording for that part, the overdub, is, I have had it. I am sick and tired of these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane. Which is how I will say it for the rest of my life, because not only is the original line phenomenal because it uses MFers, and we know that Samuel L. Jackson is known for his MFers, but monkey fighting snakes on a Monday to Friday plane is kind of unbeatable as a phrase. If someone wants to make me that shirt, I will wear it. Also, guess what? If you're interested, I have shirts. I don't know how to make money doing this. So if you guys can suggest that would be great. Because this is basically all I can do right now. And I love doing it. And I will do it. I've done this. I've done recording. I've talked into a recording device on like a radio show since I'm 6. So I'm going to do this forever. I have a Patreon, Aristotle Full Throttle. You can go to patreon.com/Aristotle Full Throttle. You can check out, I don't know, maybe there's a link for t-shirts. You can wear a t-shirt. But if someone wants to make me a monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday playing shirt, or direct me to one, I will wear that shirt on my body. I gotta say, this has been a good, lively discussion today. I think we've solved all the world's problems. I know I sound glib sometimes about the Black Lives Movement right now, because I want to know why this moment is more special than any other time someone was killed in the streets or killed or gunned down. I want to know why this time it's going to actually stick. And I want it to. I want it to every time. I want people to know. I think it's great that we're talking about it. Paul Hardister has mentioned to everybody, this is pertaining to our discussion earlier about Dog Day Afternoon. He's an excellent film. There's a documentary on the story as well. The doc is called The Dog. So guys, if you want to dig deeper into Dog Day Afternoon, check that documentary out. I'm going to write that down on my running list here, The Dog, because it's a good movie. Good acting. Veronica, what would you say? That was what I've been asking everyone. Wow, preach it. Yeah, I've been asking everyone for that shirt too. I say things jokingly about the Black Lives Matter awareness level right now, how people are penciling it in right now between school shootings because they've got time. But it's one of those things that has always been there in our society in particular, to varying degrees. This time, not really much. I mean, in a lot of ways, right now is the best time to be living. But in a lot of ways, we still have a long way to go. We haven't figured it out yet. We haven't solved racism. It's a tough one. It's a little bit, it's nuanced. How do we do that? Well, we just all have kids with someone else. We all pick a random culture that we have no idea about, and then we marry them and then try to live with them. I think that's the answer. It'll be like a real-life wife swap TV show or spouse swap, whatever that show was on ABC. Let's all live with each other's spouses for a day. Figure it out. There's no way to know. How are you guys feeling? What is of your biggest concern right now? What is the problem? What's your problem? And I mean that like, really, like what is toiling your mind? What is stressing you out? What is the thing in the forefront of your brain right now? Because I think that for a lot of people, it's obviously the unjust, well, murder is unjust, so the murder of George Floyd. A lot of people that's right in their mind, and they can't get it out of the front of their consciousness, constantly just thinking about how horrifying a death, horrifying a murder that was. It's just, we don't know how to comprehend it. We don't know how to put that together. Yeah, this is convenient outrage. It will blow over. Nothing will change. Frisco C. It's hard for me to argue with that. It's hard for me to not feel that way. Being brown in America, being black and brown in America, people are frustrated because they go, oh, we've seen this before. We see this every 18 months or sooner, every several months or so. An unarmed black man is killed while their hands are in the air and their back is turned. I don't know what kind of training police do. I don't know what kind of threat police feel when there is a man with their back to them, with their arms in the air. There should be a level of training that we implement, a certain level of protocol, rules of engagement. And who knows, when you're in that situation, what that's like for either person. Nobody knows what to do. Cops should know what to do in that situation. They should be trained thoroughly to not put their knee on someone's neck while they're unconscious. There's no excuse for that. Freedom of the press in a time we need to know everything that's happening really hitting this week. Yeah, Tatiana, that's an excellent point. We do need freedom of the press. We need a freedom, guys. I tell you, I was out there yesterday videoing, totally peaceful, everything was fine. You don't see that on the news. You just see the riot or the looting. There's been no riots. Let's make clear there's been crappy looting, but there's not been out and out rioting to the level that we saw in Los Angeles 30 years ago, where everything was on fire. They wanted to see, people want to see the world burn down. If you are in power, this is a leadership problem. We've only got a couple minutes left here on Instagram, but you guys can hop over to Aristotle Full Throttle and /live, or Aristotle, put the /live at the end of that. You'll find me, I guess. Or go to that link and you'll see what I'm talking about. Certain types of people are attracted to being police officers. I think I know what you're getting at there. There are people who are in authority generally. There's certain types of predisposed personalities that are into becoming authority figures, those being generally narcissists and also sociopaths and psychopaths. They like to control other people. That's part of their deal. They like control. And they like that power. They love to be in a position of power. They like to be admired. They like to be looked upon with their strength. They like to be associated with great strength and weaponry. But I'll tell you, a lot of them are just dickheads. And that's a lot of criminals too. So you could have a similar type of personality if you're a criminal and you want to get away with crap, or if you're a cop and you want to get away with crap. It's smart if you're like a malignant narcissist. You're like, how do I exercise power over another human being, but also be allowed to do that? Well, maybe I'll become a police officer or the president. And that's how people work. People will end up in positions where they can exercise their true nature. And a lot of these cops, a lot of these people in power, including the president, have that type of mentality where they're like, how does this affect me personally? How do I benefit from this directly? How do I get my rocks off as president by shooting tear gas into a peaceful assembly? Because he's pretending to be the dictator. He's pretending to be the dictator, guys. President is pretending to be a dictator. Remember that we live in a democracy. We don't have a dictatorship. We can vote his ass out. So do that, please. You want to see change, run for office. If you want to see change, vote for people who want to change the system. If you are in power, and we've got 45 seconds left on Instagram, if you're a person in power, think about it. What's the worst thing you want? To lose that power. So what do? You do everything to hold on to that power. What we need to do is exercise our voice and our power as citizens of this country to get those a-holes, I call them a-holes, out. Vote them out. Replace them. Replace them with your own voice. Replace them with the voice of the people around you. Thank you guys on Instagram for joining me. I will be here tomorrow. Hop over to... always the last few seconds of my... that video ended, and I can't share it. Why, Instagram? Why are you going to do that to me? On the last 3 seconds of my broadcast, you're going to... Oops, interruption, and now I can't share it. I don't like that. Let people know what you're talking about. Add title. What were we talking about today? Movies that matter. Well, I guess I put matter because, movies that make a difference. How about that? I'm letting you guys in on a little bit of what my life looks like, and it's mostly typing on my phone. Mostly. Other than that, I'm maybe eating. Mostly. I don't know what I'm talking about. How do I share it? I can't share it anymore. That's it. Fundraiser. Good golly. Instagram, I am disappointed in you, Instagram. Always the last 8 seconds where I can't. Good God. Interestingly enough, I still get a lot of text from my friends. They're really trying to. Some of them are avoiding this whole situation altogether by not wanting to talk about it, and some of them are just kind of overcompensatory and are like, "Hey, how's it going? How you doing?" And then maybe they're like, "Oh, I just did my anti-racism for the day. I'm good." Oh, I swiped up and I sent an email to the Minneapolis, Minnesota Police Department saying, I don't like that. Now I can go back to eating my burrito because now I've lifted that weight from my conscience and do not feel any more responsible today, but maybe tomorrow the guilt will creep back up on me and I will have to maybe even post an image of a black screen on my screen on Instagram because that'll make me feel better for the next 12 hours, hopefully, that I've contributed to change, social change. I don't know. It's a good thing. It raises awareness. It does something. It raises awareness. People are like, why is your screen just black screen? Is that Black Lives Matter? Jaffe Mustafa, the original sin of the myth of American West. Oh, good golly, yeah. The American Westerns, too. Monday to Friday politics. Hey, Veronica, what's up? This channel makes a difference: entertainment, introspection, and a bit of smiles. That's what we like. I like that you definitely condensed down exactly what I'm trying to do here. Tatiana, thank you for that. Message is being received. I'm happy about that. Thank you. Now I've done it for the day and I feel good, and that's the weight is off my chest. I could move on from this today, but I'm exhausted. And I know that you might be exhausted. I'm emotionally exhausted. I'm exhausted from the weekend, just not knowing what the heck's going on, not knowing if there's going to be an all-out riot. Can't go to any local businesses. Haven't been going to any local businesses on account of the pandemic situation that is ongoing. We are in a pandemic still. Don't forget, you might also be spreading a deadly disease. So I go around the neighborhood, and all the places I like to go, I don't go around. I actually drove past them. Everything's boarded up. Spray paint on the boards. Sometimes saying Black Lives Matter. Sometimes saying. The place I love to go for breakfast is a place called Home State Tacos, I guess. Home State, and it's right around the corner from me. And I was driving past it. All the windows are boarded up, and it says BLM, Black Lives Matter, POC owned business, female POC owned business, female person of color owned business. And I thought, this is where we're at. Don't attack us. We're on your side. And if you do a little bit of deep digging, you'll see that a lot of the theatrics, a lot of the stuff is very staged. The police, I'm going to leave you with this conspiracy theory. And it's not so much a theory, it's what is actually being done, in my opinion. The police are definitely they're making it so, for instance, that police car that was on the corner of Fairfax and Beverly was just an old police car that was just left there and abandoned. They left and abandoned a police car in the middle of an intersection because they knew that it would be vandalized. So if they're baiting the crowds to create
what looks like chaos so that they can, quote, break up the crowds with force. This is just a tactic. It's actually a strategy. It makes sense. Think about it. If you are the police department and you're like, we're the police and we generally suck as far as our structural foundation and what we're built on, because we want to subjugate people instead of protect the peace. We don't want to, because the administration, because of the current situation of politics, people are like, well, the police particularly, departments are like, how do we control these crowds? Well, we're afraid when they're huge crowds assemble, so let's bait them while they're smaller crowds. They'll light fire to a police car, and then we can justifiably move in with our riot gear and break up the crowd. So it's a preemptive strike, really. It's a little bit of a baiting thing. It's literally bait. You put a little meat on a stick, you get a nibble, and then you catch the fish or the crab. Crabs are fun. You could put a little chicken leg on a string and you throw this chicken leg in the water, right? I know this because I grew up on Long Island. And then after like 15 minutes, you pull the chicken leg up and there'll be like 3-4 crabs on it, and you just scoop the crabs up, and that's how you go crabbing. That's the real way. You don't get no crab trap. Who needs a crab trap? Trying to catch aquatic brackish water animals. Paper screening. And Will's back. Thank you for joining us. We're just wrapping up. Just saying, watch out for the conspiracies. Well, I mean, watch out for the police baiting the crowds. Watch out for that. Be sure you're on the safer end of the line. Also follow John Boyega on social media. He's great. These are the things we've learned today. Check out Capernaum and the dog documentary, The Dog. Remember to think about how this society affects people who are not you. And it makes sense to me. I understand that there is a large contingency. It is usually the same every time. When I see a tweet or when I see someone arguing, well, against or for a situation that clearly everyone is against. Like, for instance, the murder in the street of George Floyd. Some people are like, well, the cops, blah, 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 and this and that. Invariably, if you click on that person's profile, invariably, and I say that with aplomb, usually a straight white guy or a guy who's touting, I am a MAGA guy, I'm a man, and I have a wife and kids. So you want to know that they're straight and that they're white and that they're a man. They want you to know that. That is something that they're very proud of. And you go, okay, well, funny that, because surprisingly, you're the dissenting voice in a situation that seems very universal, but it's usually a straight white guy. But I'll leave on this note. If a society is benefiting you, if you are the benefactor of a system that is broken, you're like, hey, it seems to be working out for me. I mean, I'm doing all right. I'm not getting shot. I seem to be having an advantage in the job market and socially. I don't get discriminated anywhere I go necessarily. Why should the system change? Why should I care what happens to it? In fact, if I am this hypothetical person, if I am this hypothetical straight white male in American society, particularly, if I am he, I would say this, and in fact, I might even be a little scared. I'm trying to think like someone else who lives in our society. I'm trying to think like they do, because I would like everyone to try to think like someone else does. I would like them to try to think like we do. Because if I'm them, I might even not want to admit to myself that I am scared that one day this system may not benefit me anymore in the way that it does now. In fact, it might actually treat people equal to me, and I am afraid of being treated equal. I would like to maintain a position of superiority and power in our current structure. Why do I want to change that? And we have to offer reasons why it is better to have equality across the board than a system that benefits a particular group of people overwhelmingly. We have to offer good reasons, because this group of people, frankly, hard to feel bad for that group of people. I don't. But they legitimately don't understand what the hell's going on. And perhaps the best way to help them understand is to talk to them and show them. And maybe when this civil unrest, because a lot of these people are just going to be like, oh, well, look, see, we let them march in the streets and they broke everything. You see that? And it's like, well, that's not the problem, you jerk. The problem is that we had to get to the marching in the streets. The problem comes before that. The problem goes several steps before we get to marching in the streets, several steps even before, several steps before windows start to get smashed and cop cars start to get lit on fire. The problem is way further back in the line, and you're a part of it. So acknowledge that. You can't blame the people smashing the windows. You blame the system that's broken and being upheld and supported that led to people smashing windows. System's broken. We shouldn't have to be here, but that's where we are. So that's what we have to fix, is the system. We have to go back all of these steps to the origin of the problem. And if you're looking at the people looting and you happen to be of the majority and you say, oh, well, look, we let them do the thing and they messed it up, you got a huge blind spot, bro. You got a huge blind spot, and it's a mirror, and you need to look in the mirror and say, oh, how am I contributing to that? If you're a straight white man in a society that benefits straight white men. If you say, how am I look at myself and I'm like, what can I do to help this situation? Everyone needs to look and say, how am I a part of this broken system? What is it that I am also contributing to, or ignoring, or not doing, not actively doing? Some of us have to actively counter stuff. And that includes when I grew up in a place where it's just lots of casual racism, lots of casual N-words thrown around, a lot of people just saying, they look over at me and, oh, well, you know what I'm saying. It's cool, right? No, I'm just, There's a movie, I think, that has that a lot in it where, what movie is that, guys, where this guy's just always telling racist jokes and then looks over? Oh, Soul Man. Problematic movie. Maybe that's not the best one to talk about. But it's really funny because I knew a guy named, I won't tell you his name, but he would always be telling racist jokes within earshot of me and then kind of be like, oh, well, no offense. Like, oh, well, that makes it better. Thanks, buddy. He was a few years older than me in high school, and he'd be in like this larger group of people that we'd hang out with. And he just has no concept of how injurious that is to somebody. It doesn't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect him. What doesn't affect me therefore doesn't exist, and you should suck it up, is their attitude. And it's not a good one. Will says when people are callous and covetous and they expect their values are the same for everyone they keep down. Yeah. People And this is a failing in their ability for critical thinking and empathy. It's a failing of their interest or curiosity for introspection to say, how am I part of this? What can I do to help? Not, look, you guys are messing everything up. It's, you should say, what is it that you need? What is it that I can do? How can I help this situation? Not just blaming people for a thing and saying, well, clearly they are not connected to me whatsoever. They are you. Everyone in a society, in our society, is treated supposedly and in theory equally. So if we are treating everyone equally in our society, you should realize that, oh, this is telling, how am I a part of this? This is also me. He is me. Veronica says, Merrick residents were screaming and cursing at peaceful protesters today, I think it was, telling them to go to their diverse neighborhoods. Big article online about it. Yeah. Diverse. They're actually chanting to the people who need to hear it. You know? Long Island is incredibly racist. It really is. It's kind of sad how racist it is. I'm out of there. I'm in Los Angeles. I went to the city where they had race riots, basically, in the 90s. I moved to this city to get away from Long Island. That's how racist it is. I actually know a woman, she's a Polish lady, and she lives on Long Island. She's from Poland, because she's Polish. And she was like, wow, Long Island is really racist. She's like, I happen to be white. My daughter happens to be white. She goes to a school, Harbor Fields. Is it Harbor Fields? No, Sag Harbor. Her kid goes there, and she's like, yeah, everyone here is super racist, and like, it's kind of crazy. And she's like, I don't understand this from where I come from, because I guess Poland doesn't have a history of black slavery. So there's not this hundreds of years built up undercurrent of tension and prejudice that she does not experience. So it's funny to talk to her about that kind of situation, because she's just like, it's weird. I say, look, that guy, don't you think he's cute or so? And it'll happen to be a black guy or something. And the people are like, oh, I can't. Well, I would never. They can't even. So it's interesting. She doesn't have that perception. She has that. And her school district in particular tries to keep people of color out. And she noted that. As someone from another country who's been living here for a few years, computer programmer, and was just like, yeah, there's like an active keeping people out of their school system who are not white. It's active. We're not going to solve it today, but we can, I don't know. I'd like to leave on a positive note. I'd like to let you know that I have hope for the future. I really would. But here we are. Maybe in 2 weeks, everybody will be sick and then in the hospital again because of the assemblies that we've been having, the public assemblies. And it'll just be back to COVID again. Short attention span theater. Welcome to America. I highly recommend the video This Is America. If you haven't seen the video for This Is America, but I just listened to that song last night. Came on my Spotify on random, and it is one of the best video of the decade for sure. And it's a great piece of filmmaking, great storytelling in that. This Is America by Childish Gambino, aka Donald Glover, and the dude has his finger on the pulse of what it's like The lyrics of that song are incredible. The visuals of that video of him basically realizing he needs to dance and sing for everyone and be a performer for everyone. He's got to get that money, like his grandma said, black man, get that money. And how do you do that in our society as a person of color? How do you achieve a level of notoriety and wealth from nothing, if you come from nothing? How do you achieve success? Well, one way would be to, what they show and they illustrate in the video, is to join gangs and be a part of perpetuate the violence, or hone your skills as an entertainer and a musician and help distract from all of the things that are around you that are burning, and try to get out of your situation and just forget, be a black man in America and start dancing and singing for everyone, and all will be good in the world. Meanwhile, it'll all be burning down around you, and the kids will love it. So that's what we got to do, guys. We got to make the kids love it. Oh, there it is. The feeling's back. We got to make the kids love equality. We got to brand it. Let's brand equality. It's going to be good. We love equality. Just make it bright colored, make it fashionable. Check out my equality jumpsuit. Put equality inside of our yogurt at the bottom. Equality at the bottom yogurt. And you just mix it all together, and then you eat it, and it's like, this equality tastes delicious. What delicious equality we have in this yogurt. Because kids love yogurt. Baby food. We need to start putting equality in the baby food. The pudding. We need to start putting equality in the pudding. All right. We've obviously lost the thread. I have fallen off the cart. We need some canned segues. Yeah, we need some sound effects just going, zoom, smash, and I'm all like, racism in America. And then you hear like, zoom, boing, oing, 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 oing. Riots. I think that would be hilarious. Damn, this equality delicious. I do need like zany. I need like one of those crank machines. Sounds like my neck's broken. I'll just get a whole bunch of sound effects next time and make this more zany. Gotta brand it. Gotta brand that equality. Yo, did you just check out like the latest equality? It's like my favorite equality so far. I mean, there hasn't really been much new in equality lately, but I've discovered this new equality, and it's really good. I put it on TikTok. I got the latest equality. Yo, check out my new equality Jordans. I got equality Jordans. $800. That's equality. I got equality hypercolor shirts. Equality snap bracelets. Yo, check out my online store. I got equality mugs. Equality flamethrowers. The kids love this one. Soylent equality is made of people. All kinds of people. Every kind of person. We don't discriminate. Thank you for that one, Tatiana. I'll tell you. Yeah, it ain't Soylent Green. It's Soylent Rainbow. We got all the Soylents. Every Soylent you need. Freaky Freezies. Oh, man, remember those? Those, like, ice pops? Those were fun. I think that's what they was. Oh, I got a TikTok. Follow me on TikTok. Maybe I'll make some equality TikToks later. Cheers, guys. I appreciate you guys for watching. We've gone overboard today. We've gone off the deep end, and that's what I like. It's just starting to get good. That's why I'm leaving. Leave the party when you're having fun. That's what I always say, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I've got to get to maybe eating food today. I'll start that at some point. And I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle, you bro in the know with the fro. 5 days a week, noon Pacific Standard Time. Not Salt Lake City time. Not the Salton Sea time. Well, actually, Salton Sea time, too. Pacific Standard Time. Noon. Aristotle Full Throttle, you bro in the know with the fro.